Hello and welcome to the June 1st podcast. My name is Ethan.
And my name's Connor.
And we are doing a CarCast where we are driving for the first day of chasing in our 2024 Chasecation excursion. We couldn't be more excited. We are blasting west through Pennsylvania at the moment, nearing, I think around Pittsburgh in the coming 20 minutes or so. I would say we're probably around the Pittsburgh metro, and then it's on to Ohio. We got up nice and early this morning, I would say. It was a very early start to the day, and we're making great time. We're trying to make it to Iowa today for set up in the high plains over western Nebraska, the panhandle of Nebraska, if you want to call it a panhandle, Wyoming, that general vicinity. So we're going to be pretty much taking I-80 west for quite a ways. And I guess we can kind of start with not as much the trip, but going back a little bit with what we've been up to, as it's been a long time since we've done a podcast episode. Connor, what you've been up to?
I don't remember specifically when we did our last podcast, but I'm pretty sure since then I've graduated college, I've got a job, I've moved to the Boston area, and so it's been a very big change for me, and I have done a lot, and not a lot of it has been specifically June 1st, but
that's how it goes.
Yeah.
He's joined the real world, as they say.
Indeed.
With respect to me, I've been doing a lot of work with the June 1st video content, obviously, doing a lot of the more mini doc style videos, which have been the best vehicle for helping grow June 1st to a point where we can do a lot more of kind of the original goals that we had set out to do, especially with the more engineering style stuff that was kind of the origin of June 1st. But nonetheless, we still do our chase trips now, and last year, 2023, we had a great Chasecation when things didn't look so good, but yet we're going into this trip with quite the high note, I would say. We have a couple of promising looking risks. Granted, we haven't done too much forecasting yet, but the brilliant minds at the Storm Prediction Center have come up with 15% risks for the day 4 and 5. Today is Sunday, of course, and so we have a day 4 risk on Wednesday, and then a day 5 risk on Thursday. So that's a good sign, some more high-end type days to begin this trip. As I mentioned, our first day of chasing will be this Monday, so tomorrow. We're going to get up early again in Iowa and then sprint west once again through the great state of Nebraska. But nonetheless, honestly, this is kind of a different time frame that we're doing. This is not something that we're used to doing. We're more of, the typical May time frame. And we took a little bit of a gamble this year just because of the obligations that we had in May that kind of prevented us from going out our typical time frame, and took the gamble on the later season, which usually favors storms more in the high plains, which I'm a huge fan of, but not only that, but more the northern plains into the Dakotas, and that's what it looks like it's going to be like, kind of midweek Dakotas, and then a little bit more Midwest.
Continue onto I-80 West.
It's our GPS as we're navigating. So, and then the Thursday we'll be hitting the more Midwest region, looking like Iowa again type of deal. I haven't really forecasted out and to see what the tornadic sense of these setups are going to be, or if they're going to be more, kind of MCS / derecho type setups. But nonetheless, I'm just really excited to see some storms at the end of the day. It's been a long time coming. You haven't been able to chase this year, right? So Connor hasn't chased. I had one chase at the beginning of the year, actually around here in western Pennsylvania. It wasn't anything too special, and it wasn't anything worth a video, but it was nice to kind of shake the rust off a little bit, get the gear going. And it's just going to be great to get out into the plains once again and kind of get our feet wet. I think we should have a decent risk on Monday for maybe a chance of seeing a brief tornado or two, hopefully. And overall, we usually go into this with kind of limited expectations. Obviously, 2024 has been a fantastic year for storm chasing. It's possibly one of the best storm chasing years on record. And I would say that it's a little tough sitting on the sidelines, right? And, granted, we have our responsibilities of being... I'm turning off the GPS voice.
I think we know where to go.
Yeah, it's pretty much dead west. But nonetheless, I think, it's always a little tough kind of sitting on the sidelines, right? And kind of watching from afar when great tornadoes are happening. Granted, a lot of these tornadoes are impacting people, and that's, just the nature of storm chasing. But you want to be there to see stuff, right, when you're a chaser. And to be on the sidelines is not exactly the easiest.
Yeah. There's been so many great events of both the big things and the small things.
Yeah, photogenic storms that don't impact people, and then obviously more high-end outbreaks in populated areas, which is unfortunate, as we must admit. But it's been the season of seasons for sure. But it's going to be good at least to kind of have a little bit of something to look forward to start our trip, and because it was like last year, we timed it kind of what we thought was poorly, but we ended up having the whole Clovis Fest, enjoying our time in New Mexico and all that fun stuff. So, Connor, what are you looking forward to in this chase trip?
I'm looking forward to storms. I can't really phrase it any other way. I just want to go out west after being cooped up in Boston for this whole time and finally be able to be there and see things and do things.
Yeah.
Wow. Very, very specific, I know.
Do you have any, I guess a question that I'll ask you is, do you have any specific goals for this trip that differ from some of our previous trips? Like, obviously, we want to see tornadoes and stuff like that, but is there anything that you're kind of looking forward to in this trip?
Maybe I'm going to flex my forecasting muscles a little more. I've been studying, I've been looking at various atmospheric parameters of the outbreaks this year. And I think I might be getting a little more on the money. I did a little forecasting in my head during the big Lincoln, Nebraska day. I got that pretty much down right on the money.
That's good. It's good to have two forecasting minds in the right place.
Yeah. So hopefully I can contribute a little more to this and hopefully make a positive impact.
Yeah, no, that would be ideal, obviously, and I'm looking forward to that. I would say from my perspective, it's advancing the cinematography of the Tahunta Storm series. Kind of going back and editing the last season of it, season 2. If you haven't seen it, there's a playlist on the main June 1st channel. But I want to be able to kind of up my level of what I'm able to do as a filmmaker, because there was a lot of shots that I did take, a lot of the B-roll and stuff, where I felt like I was rushing a lot of the shots, and I wasn't, the storm footage part is kind of easier, but a lot of like the B-roll and like kind of establishing shots of where we are, that stuff is something that I want to take more pride in this time. I want to think things more as a filmmaker, and I feel like we're pretty good at telling the story side of things, but I want the cinematography to really support that story, really establish the places that we are, really kind of connect the dots of places while we're chasing and tell the narrative of the chase. So there's those types of things that I want to focus on from my perspective when it comes to this chase season. And hopefully we'll have some good storms and that yield some good stories out of it. And, obviously the Tahunta Storm series is not the most popular thing on the June 1st channel, but it's something that I really enjoy making. And honestly, it's the most like artistic way, I think, of self-expression that I have is, storytelling through filmmaking, I guess, with the Tahunta Storm videos and pulling a story out of our trip. And that's something that I take deep pride in. And I think there's going to be a little bit of a new element where we kind of do not just me narrating post-mortem, but doing, yeah, exactly that. Maybe more candid interviews between the two of us in the moment, the day of, where I can actually establish, like a nice interview shot, if you will, kind of getting our thoughts and stuff like that along the way. I'm including less of the commute out there because, we're commuting out from the Northeast. If you're at all familiar with June 1st, we're native to New England and now, for myself, New Jersey. But those are the types of things that I feel like I want to incorporate more of the story of the day, how the day evolves and stuff like that. So there's those types of things that I want to incorporate more. And then another thing too is I want to incorporate a couple more podcast episodes. And I have a new form of podcast that's related to storm chasing that I don't think anybody's done yet. It's a really cool idea. I'm not going to spoil it here in this podcast because I'm going to upload this later today. But I think it's a really cool idea. We discussed it earlier, and we think it's a good idea. And it's something that I think you guys would be really interested in. And it's something that's novel and hasn't been done before. So we're going to do a little bit of that on the road here, involving other chasers. So that'll be a great opportunity to kind of give some more content to June 1st, because I've been really trying to think of new ways to add to content to June 1st and introduce new ideas to this storm space, or the weather space, for lack of a better term. I guess it's the weather community, right?
Yeah, it's the weather community.
WX community. And yeah, I want to be able to provide more stuff on June 1st. Obviously, if you're watching this, I'm going to upload the audio version of this as well on the Spotify page. But there's now a new June 1st podcast YouTube page where all of these podcast episodes are going to be uploaded from here on out. So everything that has occurred up until this point is strictly audio-based, but we're going to start incorporating a video-based element. So the podcast channel is going to incorporate this episode and onward some sort of video component to it, which will be really good. I want to do more podcasts down the road. It's just that my time is my most precious asset at the moment. So it's tough to really, focus on podcasts and stuff when I'm trying to make these high-level content videos. But nonetheless, it's something that I want to do more effort in. And I think people really do enjoy the podcast form. I don't know how you feel about podcasts, but
I listen to them a lot, so.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like it's a medium that a lot of people enjoy, and especially in the storm chasing space where, I occupy our time on the road listening to podcasts. We spend a lot of time behind the wheel, obviously, commuting from place to place on these chase trips. And it's nice to have podcasts to listen to. I'm always banking podcasts to listen to. So it almost seems like there's never enough as a storm chaser, just because of the sheer amount of hours that we drive on the road. I don't know if you feel the same way.
I feel the same way.
And I listen to them a lot at work as well, so.
I do them on all my commutes as well, to work, to wherever.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if you have any other thoughts, Connor, that you want to talk about that are specific to either the chase trip or anything else. I didn't really have much of an itinerary for this podcast. Just kind of wanted to talk about kind of what to look forward to in the coming couple of months, as we're going to kind of bank some of this content and roll it out slowly. But it's going to be a big, collection. These 2 weeks, I guess, are the most productive weeks for June 1st because of the fact we're not working full time. We're taking our PTO and using it to create new content for June 1st and really bank stuff up to upload throughout the year. So I'm excited. I'm excited for storms, but I'm also excited for the content opportunities as well, which I'm super passionate about.
I'm glad you're excited for that. I do have a question for you.
Yes.
Is there anything non-storm related that you want to do while you're out west?
Other than like the video stuff, I always like seeing new places and kind of finding these little hole-in-the-wall towns. It's always cool finding little restaurants and roadside attractions and stuff that are kind of off the beaten path. I think the luxury of being a storm chaser is that you get to see parts of America that I would say the vast majority of Americans will never see. These small little towns kind of off, the main interstates and stuff like that. So those are always little things that I always kind of look forward to. And, obviously I don't want to see destruction and stuff like that, but it's always cool also visiting some of these small towns in the plains that have become infamous historical locations for weather. Greensburg is the one that comes to mind right off the top of your head, but if we're driving through South Dakota, you might have the opportunity to stumble across a place like Manchester. So there's always those little opportunities that I look forward to.
I'm glad.
What about you?
I'm basically the same thing. Restaurants, people, I want to meet a whole bunch of new people who are definitely going to be out here during June, of all places. Not just the regular crowd of storm chasers, hopefully the ones who are a little more dedicated to their craft. And
Yeah, and obviously there's a great emphasis lately, I would say within the past year and a half, there's been a real uptick in, I would say, full-time storm chasers via the streaming platform, and that's something that I'm not personally looking to do. I want to focus a lot more on the cinematography, and managing a live stream is not something that I want to do, though maybe in the future if I have more capacity to do it, then maybe that's a possibility, but right now in the immediate future, it's not something that I'm focusing on. And granted, there's a lot of monetization possibilities out of that, but I'm not in it for that. So, I want to keep the passion alive and do what I enjoy when out there. I want to do more of the storytelling of storms and our adventures along the way. That's kind of my focus and what my bread and butter is. Nonetheless, I want to do also in the future here with June 1st, a lot more of the engineering stuff that we have done in the past. If you are an OG June 1st fan or scroll back, you know that engineering was kind of the start of June 1st. Now we were engineering the tools of future weather research, and that's something that I want to call back to. Now that we're growing a little bit, and we have the capital from, obviously the YouTube ad revenue and stuff like that, eventually a Patreon is in the works, just because of the fact I haven't made it live yet, because of the fact I don't want to put it out there until I have more of a clear-cut idea of what I can offer for additional benefits. I want to really make sure the idea is fully flushed out before I start accepting people's, their hard-earned money to contribute towards June 1st, because obviously, there are people that want to support this, right? And do something like a subscription-based thing, but I want to make sure that they are being compensated fairly, in my opinion, for that, the extra content that's worth it, and the extra perks and stuff like that. I want to make sure that, the tiers are the right amounts and you get the right value for what you're paying each month. That's something I take great pride in. I don't want to be scamming people out of money. So if you want to contribute to June 1st, it's something that I want to make sure that you have a quality product to back your, subscription, right? That's something I take great pride in. Quality product is the most important thing to me. So that's something that I'm weighing a lot on too. And, so that'll come eventually. But like I said, there's a lot to look forward to here on June 1st. And we're growing at the fastest rate that we've ever had before, which is awesome to see. And I'm really, really thankful for the amount of people that have joined this ride within the past 6 months, I would say, has been the greatest growth that June 1st has seen. And obviously we've had a dedicated base before that, but now more people coming in and getting eyes on the project. And, hopefully to get back to our engineering roots a bit more, which is something that I'm particularly passionate about. And that's something, too, that Connor can get more involved in.
Yeah.
Connor, we're both engineers. Connor is an aerospace engineer by training, and so he offers a lot more expertise in that type of field. Personally, one of my favorite YouTube channels and favorite creators, I'm not the biggest fan of the term creator, but Joe Bernard, who does BPS Space. If you're into rocketry and stuff like that, you definitely heard of the BPS Space channel and what he's doing over there with those rockets and stuff. But I would love to be the weather version of BPS Space. That's like one of my biggest passions. If we could do something like that, that's where I think our future lies, personally. Nonetheless, too, the documentary style videos, I still enjoy those as well.
All right.
I had to take a fluid break. I was getting parched. I was hoping you were going to jump in for a hot second there to save me, but
you're
obviously
going on your soliloquy.
I know I was a bit of a filibustering there, but nonetheless, I don't know how you feel about that, Connor, but I want to incorporate you more into the engineering side of things as well.
Oh, I would be very excited for that. Like, I don't know, drone development, sensor package development, those are both in the works. And
yeah, so that's going to be something we're going to have to figure out the logistics of it, kind of figure out how we're going to be able to do like file management and the actual hardware type of things, how we might be just shipping prototypes back and forth to each other or something. But, I want to eventually, like, my dream one day with June 1st is to have like a full June 1st, like, studio, honestly. Oh, Jesus.
What is going on? Oh,
This truck, like, really slowed down, and I can't accelerate fast enough to pass him on this hill. Here we go.
Really
this is, I guess, the
engineers.
downside of a driving podcast. We're kind of subject to traffic ebbs and woes, and I have to, like, react to them in real time and cut my train of thought. But I guess getting back to the engineering thing, I want to open, like, a June 1st, like, workshop almost, where I can have the tools readily available to build things and test things, and build kind of some of these UAV platforms that we started building a long time ago. And the recent success of Otis, or whatever that drone that was in that tornado a couple weeks ago was, whatever. Like, the fact that it's, a little bit more feasible. We have our own ideas that we kind of came up with that are not similar, or, along the same veins of what has been done recently. But granted, we kind of started those projects years ago, but just haven't had the capital to advance them at the rate that we've wanted to. But now that, we kind of have a little bit more of a financial backing behind us now, we'll be able to invest in some of the projects and stuff. I don't know if there's anything that you specifically wanted to work on, Connor, that we could work on, but maybe some of the ideas that you have. I'm not sure what you were kind of thinking about.
I'm not sure. I'll discuss with you in private.
Yeah, I guess we can't be spilling beans over the...
We can't be spilling June 1st secrets on here.
Yeah, proprietary, whatever. Not that there's anything really proprietary that we've designed, but I would say a lot of the stuff that we have done is not the most novel of concepts. It's just maybe refinements of what has been conceived of previously. But we want to do more of that development, and if we can have a space where we can do those types of developments, that would be awesome. I have a little bit of space at my apartment now that I can do some of the smaller scale stuff, but fortunately I still frequent Western Massachusetts, where I have a little bit more space to work on some of those projects. And Connor as well has, he just moved apartments, so he might have a little bit more space to do his own stuff at the same time. So nonetheless, there's a lot to be looking forward to in the land of June 1st. And, we just wanted to take the opportunity here to talk about it in a podcast form. This is probably not the longest podcast, but nonetheless, it's a great opportunity to kind of share what we're thinking about. And obviously the next 2 weeks here are focused on chasing and producing or filming, I guess, the content, and then I guess backlogging a bunch of footage for me to edit in the coming months.
Nice. But I have another question for you.
Sure.
Since we're now driving, and this is a driving podcast, what do you consider to be, like, the best and worst parts of driving? Not storm related, just straight up, just being in a car and driving.
I love driving personally. Like, I'm a big driving guy, but the toughest thing for me nowadays is just the wear and tear on the body, which is annoying. Like, for whatever reason, recently, maybe I'm just getting old. I turn 25 in a month and a half or whatever, and like, I get the weirdest knee pain while driving now, where like, there's almost like a air buildup in my knee, and I have to, like, pop my knee. It's kind of disturbing in a sense, but I don't know. I have to keep, like, cracking my knee.
Oh, I wonder if we can get on the podcast.
No, I don't. They're not hurting at the moment, but fortunately for me. But that's kind of, the downside of driving is that, and then obviously, like, paying for gas and stuff like that. Nobody wants to pay for gas,
yeah.
But yeah, I would say that the knee pain is probably the weirdest, like, and the most annoying thing. Just the fact that I guess my body's breaking down or something. The years of goaltending have caught up to me playing hockey, but I don't know. What about you?
Being just sitting here for a long amount of time, just being 6 foot, whatever, and
yeah, Connor's
trying to compress
very
myself
tall.
Trying to compress myself into a space that not exactly I can stretch out in. It definitely means my muscles are very much cramped, and they definitely hurt sometimes.
So I think you're saying we need to get a bigger vehicle is what you're saying.
Truck, F350,
Yeah, a Cybertruck.
Cyber.
You know what's funny? I've been seeing a bunch of Cybertrucks lately around where I live in Hoboken, New Jersey. I've seen like 3 or 4 now, and no, 4 now. And I just saw 2 days ago, in fact, my first Hummer EV. I saw a black Hummer EV, and it looked wild. I don't know what the price tag on that thing is. I imagine the upcharge for, you know, the dealer is probably slapping a nice 50 to 100%, you know, uptick on the MSRP, if I had to imagine. The car market's just been so crazy lately. But nonetheless, I don't know. Some interesting vehicles out there nowadays. Probably not the most practical for chasing because of the logistics of having to charge an EV. Just doesn't make sense for chasing. I think the EVs will become more prevalent in chasing once there are more charging stations littered everywhere, and the fact if you can get charging time down to like 10 minutes, I would say that that's about the threshold that I think it would be much more reasonable. I think the charging time is the biggest takeaway for me when it comes to EVs.
I saw something on Toyota's, some news article, or it might have been from Toyota's website in particular, that they've been researching like solid state batteries, and they've been
like how to like supercharge them like super
Yeah.
quick. Yeah. I'm almost thinking that you almost have to do like almost like a giant capacitor kind of thing, you know, because like you can like charge it instantly kind of thing, and then just slowly drain that capacitance. But that would be like, I don't know what the world's largest capacitor is, but trying to think how many farads of energy you would need to like dissipate in order to power an electric vehicle. I don't know what that would be, but
also be super dangerous.
oh, extremely dangerous. Like if you get into a wreck with that thing, it's just going to explode, right?
Yeah.
Which is not ideal. It'd be the Ford Pinto of EVs. You know what's funny? That Bentley that just drove by us, they passed us earlier, so they must have pulled off the highway.
We need to get gas or something.
Yeah. Nonetheless, I think
Still going
I
super
need
fast.
to take a pee break here in the next little bit. I am very fluided.
We got an exit here. I'm not sure what's in it, but
Yeah, well, I'll push on a little bit further. I'm not sure if we have any other podcast topics for today, but I figured this would be a good opportunity, like I said, to kind of catch up and kind of give you the lowdown as we kill time heading west through currently Pennsylvania and hopefully Iowa by the end of tonight. It's about 10:30 right now Eastern. Like I said, so that means we've been about 5 hours of driving now at this point, and we're gonna punch through Pennsylvania and into Ohio, like come in bits, but
then through Indiana, Illinois.
yeah, I think we're gonna cut through like Wheeling, West Virginia, I guess first. That'll actually be my first. That'll be my first time going through West Virginia.
Does I-80 go through?
I'm pretty sure I-80 goes through like Wheeling. As we check the map in real time.
Yeah, it's super slow to load.
We
phone
can't.
does not like the map.
Yeah, it's not. It's literally, you know, when you pull up the maps and it's just the grid. There's no actual map. Well, I guess we will never know in terms of the podcast, but we'll know in probably a couple hours. Not even, but maybe an hour. But nonetheless, thank you guys for listening and or watching if you're watching on the new June 1st podcast YouTube channel. That's it for me. I guess follow me at eMoriartyWX. If you're looking for updates on our chase trip, I'll also post stuff on June 1st Weather WX on Twitter/X. It's Twitter to me.
It's just Twitter.
And then Connor's at CMoriarty79. If you want to follow him there, he posts a lot while chasing, while we chase. So, nonetheless, thanks guys for listening, and as always, stay safe out there when it comes to severe weather.